loves, my name is Jessica and welcome to my channel. Today's video we're doing a review slash first impression of the Besame Cosmetics Snow White 1937 collection. I have the storybook palette right here. Before we get into the palette and everything, let's go over a few facts about it. So this was originally available at D23 back in July. It runs $65. It was available for pre-order 2 weeks ago, and as far as I know, this is sold out, but it will be back in November with the rest of the collection. There is also the Snow White Vanity Mirror that is available for pre-order. So what they did is they only released the storybook palette and the mirror that for pre-order that was available during D23. In November, they're going to be releasing a whole lot more. So when I ordered the palette, it came with a little Besame newspaper that gives a sneak peek of the other products that are coming out all right there. Let's just jump right on into the storybook palette. So it comes in a sleeve, which I love the design of this. You have a Snow White silhouette with some flowers, and it says 1937 storybook palette, and on the back of the sleeve you have the shade colors with the names in the shapes of apples, and you pull it out and you have this beautiful book. I'm gonna start by saying this is totally like for a true Disney fanatic, a Snow White fanatic. It's for that collector that lives inside of me, basically. This is just so beautifully designed. Open up the palette, and inside you have a mirror that I've yet to take the plastic off of. And on this side you have a clear sheet with the names of the shadows and the features of Snow White fashion. You have a Snow White picture. Kind of like a face chart. Yeah, I'd call this like a face chart. Duh. Alright, the idea behind this palette is Gabriela Hernandez, the creator, founder of Besame Cosmetics, and she's a makeup historian. The whole idea behind Besame Cosmetics, if you didn't know, is that they recreate makeup from, you know, the past. Vintage makeup, basically. The idea behind this palette is that Gabriela sat down with the original ink cells of Snow White, and they experimented and played and took the original colors that are in the movie and put them in here in this eyeshadow palette. And I just think that is so creative, a great nod, homage to Snow White. Also, if you didn't know, it is Snow White's, the animated movie's 80th anniversary. Like, holy crap, 80. So I just thought that was so creative to take the original colors from the movies that are simply beautiful because, you know, it's the first animated Disney movie. It's all hand done, watercolored, painted, just amazing and beautiful. So they took the colors from the original movie and put it in this palette. The story over here going over that, and if you want to recreate Snow White's true look from the animated film, it tells you what shades to use and also with the face and the lips once their other products come out. And this is the character call out to Snow White. So all of these shades are right here. It breaks down, you know, the color of her flesh, her eyelids, her lips, the iconic outfit, which is the blue and yellow dress. And then at the bottom you have the rags outfit. So like the inside of her mouth, her hair bow, her bodice, just everything about Snow White herself is just so beautiful. And then we have this clear plastic thing to protect the shadows. And here we have the shadows. For the swatches, I rubbed my finger 1 to 2 times in the pan and swiped it on my wrist. Each swatch has about 1 to 2 swipes. Towards the end of the palette, it only took 1 swipe to get full color payoff. I'm using no primer, and in between each swatch, I'm cleaning my fingers with micellar water and cotton pads and drying them with a napkin so there's no interference with the shades. I hope those swatches were helpful. Now let's talk a little bit further more into the shadows themselves. Formula. Now, okay, this was my first time, and I think the first release of eyeshadows that Besame has done. They might have done some in the past and then pulled them, and they're working on bringing them back. But this is my first time using Besame eyeshadows. If you take a brush and pat it like 1-2 times, there is a little bit of kickback in there, but look how much pigmentation is on the brush. And if you tap it, there's a lot that goes into the air, but it still adheres to the brush bristles. So I feel kind of reminiscent of that, of like my Subculture palette and my Modern Renaissance and Natasha Denona blushes. These swatch pretty much beautifully. They are a little bit powdery to the touch. You know, Brick and the red shades are a little bit gritty, but that's kind of the same feeling if you're familiar with Makeup Geek's Manny MUA palette with the shade Mars. That's just how red colors are. They're hard to do. Overall, they're a little powdery, but once they're on the skin, when you're swatching it, the pigmentation is there and they're not hard to work with at all. When working with on the eyes, I felt like they blended very well together. There was no fallout. On the eyes, they work very nicely. I will insert a clip in a second and you will see how well they blend out, and there is like no fallout. When you're applying these on your eyes, I got no fallout on my cheeks or anything like that. On my eyes, what I did is in the crease, I used Pastel 10 and Rose 300 in the crease, I mixed Pastel 10 and Rose 300. For my outer corner, I blended in Brick 105. On the lid, I took Cocoa 103. And then I went back with Rose 300 to kind of clean up the crease a bit. And to finish it off, I took Pastel 10 and 105 to blend the brow bone and to kind of just bring the colors together and smooth it out. The shadows were really easy for me to use, to blend well. I had no problem getting pigment. When you blend them out, the color does not fade away at all. Now let's get into some of the cons of this palette though. One of the problems I had with this palette is when, okay, I love the design, don't get me wrong, but it's not very practical when you have to hold all of these sheets back. Like, okay, if you have this on a table and you're like going to dip in, it's just all of these sheets kind of fall forward, so you have to really hold them all back. It was quite difficult for me to be filming this look, to be looking in a separate mirror, and to like control these sheets. Another con of the palette is I was finding it really hard to get inspired by this layout. The colors are kind of everywhere and they're not randomly placed. I know it's in a specific order, which is explained in, you know, the book on the character call, or the character color call outs. It goes in the order. My last con that I have with this palette is, if you look in my video or this picture right here, the colors kind of seem all to blend together as one. I used 4 to 5 colors, so I feel like it's going to be easier if you just stick with 2. If you want to do like, you know, a color combination like I tried this, of course that might change depending on what colors you use, but I don't know if I'm ever going to use like yellow or blue or anything like that. This is mostly a neutral palette for my case, but let's be real, I got this because I obviously love Disney and Snow White is one of my favorites. And before I forget, okay, this palette is $65. One of my pans is loose, Pastel 101. It's just when you can press it and it'll kind of stick up a little bit. I was noticing when I was doing swatches. Overall, I really do like this palette. Is it worth $65? If you're a collector, it is. The formula, is that worth $65? No, I don't think so, but they are really nice shadows. They are easy to work with. They blend well. Probably stick to using 2 shadows, maybe 3 at the most, so your colors stand out a little bit more. And I think that's it. Let me know what you think about the Snow White Besame palette. I will most likely be picking up or adding on my Christmas wish list the rest of the collection, especially the other 2 palettes that contain, I think, 8 shadows, and there's shimmery shadows in there. And yeah, all of these are matte shades. So I'm really excited to try out the other palettes and the shimmering formula compared to this eyeshadow formula. Alright, loves, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to leave some suggestions of what you'd like to see next from me down below. Remember to love others, but first and foremost, always love yourself because you're beautiful no matter what anyone else says. Bye!